Welcome back, everybody, to 3 Point Lines here on the Parlay. I'm your host, Luca Rosano, alongside my co host, Noor Zainab. And today we are going to break down some games. We're going to be getting to only two games tonight in the NBA. And just to quickly recap to see how we did yesterday, Noor, I went 6 and 10 overall. And now I'm hitting 54% of my picks. So I'm just 1% ahead of you as you're having a pretty good season thus far. I feel like you're doing better than me. So I'm kind of surprised how I have a percentage over you. I don't know how that works.
I think you took my advice last night and you went with the big spreads, and that's how you won. I'm 1 point less than you right now. I'm at 53%. We're really loving that 500 mark, eh? Just jumping
Yeah.
around there. As long as we stay above or around it, I'm okay. Anything below that, Kevin might fire us. So please
Well,
stay
I do want to make it known. Nor did say we can hit 57% in our chats. So she is putting us on a big pedestal here. Yeah, those are some pretty big expectations. But if we can hit that, that'd be great. I mean, there's two games tonight, so hey, 2-0 night tonight, that would bump up the average, right?
seriously. All right,
All
let's see
right.
how that starts off.
Yeah, let's get into the first game of the night. This should be a good one. We got the Lakers taking on the 76ers, and the Sixers 2.5 point favorites at home.
Do you have your mind made up yet, Luca?
This is going to be one of those nights where you probably go back and forth on your picks right before tip off.
Yeah, I know for a fact that like I'm picking Philly for this one, but I know when I'm
Yeah.
watching it, I'll be like, this is why I should have picked the Lakers. I should have done this. I should have done my homework. But I checked the reports. I checked for both Philly and Lakers. Philly's not gonna have Seth Curry or Danny Green, and AD is listed as out or probable, sorry, currently for the Lakers, which we all know means he's probably gonna be playing, just as yesterday when Giannis was listed probable and he ended up playing anyway. Despite missing shooters, the Lakers will have to find a way to contain Embiid. Embiid is
Yeah.
having the season of his life right now. He just completely picked up from where he left off last year. He was in MVP conversations, and I think he wants to win it this year. He's had 40 plus points in the last 4 games. He's averaging above 30, and Lakers offense has been okay. It's been all over the place. I want to say we can't really expect who will have the bigger night, but compared to their defense, it's been better, but their defense is just abysmal. And if you're, I know AD is back and he probably will be playing for this game as well. But if we saw what he did against the Nets, he barely had an impact. And to be honest with you, if even if he were 100% healthy, I don't think I like this matchup for him against Embiid. I'll probably take Embiid 9 times out of 10 against Anthony Davis. So I think this is something where Embiid should shine. He should have a pretty massive game along with LeBron. They should probably have pretty big offensive games. But when it comes to the defense, is where I think Embiid will thrive, and the Lakers will have a really hard time going past the Phillies front court and Embiid and Tobias Harris. So give me Philly. What do you think?
Yeah, a lot of the money is coming in on Philly. I think 69% is riding Philly right now. This line actually opened up at 1.5, and now it's all the way up to 2.5. So people are believers of the Sixers in this spot. They do have a couple of injuries coming into tonight's game, but as you mentioned, Nor, the big mismatch could potentially be down low with not 100% Anthony Davis going up against an MVP caliber player in Embiid. He's been playing like an MVP this season. He continues to fill up the stat sheet, and I hope Daryl Morey can get this guy somehow because I hate seeing star players not have a good supporting cast around them. I feel like they're wasting them at that point. And Embiid is showing that he is good enough to invest in and go out and make a move so you can put the Sixers in a position to be able to get to an NBA Finals. As far as tonight goes, I do like them. They're coming into this game hot. They've won 12 of their last 15. And the Lakers, for whatever reason, they have not fared well against the Sixers. They are
Yeah.
1-5 against the spread in their last six. And the Lakers overall have not fared well against Atlantic Division competition, 2-7 in their last nine against that division. And a couple of those losses were against the Raptors, of course. And Philadelphia is a crisp 9-4 against the spread in their last 13 games. So I do like them here in this spot. I think a lot of people are getting excited about the Lakers again. AD's back. LeBron's playing out of his mind. Westbrook's not looking that bad out there, but this Lakers team, they're still ways away, I think, before we can talk about them being a championship caliber team. So, yeah, people could talk about the Lakers all they want. I'm not drinking that Kool-Aid this early. I'm going with Philadelphia here.
I think if you're basing the Lakers' current trajectory based off of how they played against the Nets, I wouldn't do that. The Nets don't have anyone there. They also, well, when they did have Harden, they were losing against all these other teams. So the fact that you won by less than 10 points doesn't really bode well for you. So
Yeah.
I think tonight will be a pretty big indicator of where Anthony Davis stands, as well as the Lakers team as a whole, and how Embiid is going to show up against bigger teams again in the Western Conference. On the other side of it, though, in the Western Conference, speaking of, we have another game with the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Golden State Warriors, where the Warriors are 6-point favorites. Are you surprised?
I'm not, just because they looked really good against the Mavericks the other night, but I'm not going to fall into this trap. I think they're still having their fair share of struggles, and I will be going with the T Wolves here, +6. The Wolves have been a pretty good bet lately. They're 8-3 since January 3rd, and they're winning by an average of +7.8 in those games. So they have really stepped up in this new year. We talk about their young studs, they've been playing well. Ant's been unreal. I mean, Cat and Russell. It's great to see this T Wolves team have some success, right? It's been a while since they've been relevant. And on the other side of things, the Warriors, I don't know what's going on. They get Clay back, but then they lose Green, and they have been pretty inconsistent without Green healthy there in the lineup. They're 6-4 with a +6.3 average scoring margin. So even when the Warriors are winning some of these games, minus the Dallas game, they've been close games. They're pulling these games out late. So I do expect this one to be a close one. I can see Golden State winning, but I think this game's going to come down to the final 2 minutes. So I will take the 6 here. I've liked what I've seen from this T Wolves team, and I don't know what's going on with the Warriors. I still think they're in that funk, and I think Minnesota's going to take advantage of that. So yeah, give me the T Wolves.
Yeah, if you weren't paying attention to the Wolves before this, start now. This is their big three is if they haven't yet, they will take over the conference pretty soon. Carl Anthony Towns, Anthony Edwards, D'Angelo Russell, those three guys are I almost feel like they were made in a lab just to be put together because they bounce off of one another so well, sorry,
Yeah,
and also just pick off of each other's um flaws and their strengths. And that's kind of it's great to see. It's you saw Anthony Edwards had 40 points and 0 assists because he never needed to. He had Russell to do that, and he was able to just go and hoop as he wanted. And you mentioned the Warriors against Dallas. That was a we both took Dallas. That kind of hurt. Wasn't that great? But I think that game was kind of the game for the Warriors bench. Their bench scored what, like 70 something points. Kuminga had 22 points. He had a
yeah,
fantastic game for himself. And that was the story while Clay was away. They still had Draymond Green and Curry early on the season when their bench was actually producing. And that's kind of when they stopped once Clay started back in and Draymond had left. But I just don't see how their bench can produce the same thing again tonight. I don't see 72 points happening from them. I don't see Kaminga having a big game again, especially if you're going up against Carl Anthony Towns and Anthony Edwards on the other team. I have fun shooting against that. I don't know how you get past that. And I know that the Wolves are sneakily moving up in the ladder while and Clay's probably back for this one. I think he is back for this one. But if you notice how the Warriors play with Clay around, it's a lot more slow basketball. It's less intense. It makes sense because he's still coming back in the lineup, still figuring himself out and everything, but that slower pace really affects the style of basketball that they play and that they thrive in, which is why I think they had been losing. And like you mentioned, either in keeping it close or just not really breaking even. And like you mentioned, yeah, it's the six spread is way too big tonight, just given everything that we already mentioned. And I just think that this is kind of where I know they're away, they're not at home, but I
yeah.
can see Carl Anthony Towns and Edwards having a big game against tonight against the Warriors and even coming out with a victory. So I'm like, yeah, give me the Wolves. Are we 2 for 2? Same
Yeah,
as
we're 2 for 2. So either we go 0 of 2, 2-0, or 1-1. Hopefully it's 2-0. I feel like if you weren't a Raptors fan, you would be a T-Wolves fan.
really?
You always raving on and on about them, I feel. You
Oh,
got something for the T-Wolves. I don't know what it is, but you got a sweet spot for them.
I had no idea. Maybe I do. I just really like their roster put together. I'm like,
Yeah,
makes sense. You got two big guys who are in the backcourt, three in the front court. Then you have the best ball handler and the squeakiest 3-point taker. It makes the perfect kind of roster around you. I feel like it's good spacing if
yeah,
that makes sense.
yeah.
But yeah, that's it for the games for today. Luca and I gave you our picks for the two headliners tonight in the NBA. pretty easy day. Let us know how he did. Follow along on 3 point lines, and we'll see you again, of course, tomorrow.